Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about red flags and avoiding being one. So let's get into it. So the question in question was a little bit of a story. Hi Fred, I quit my first developer job after 2 years. It was mostly due to burnout. The burnout was the result of me not saying no enough to scope creep, accepting tight deadlines, and giving bad estimates that required me to work a lot of extra time in in my free time. I did not give my company a 2 weeks notice, but I did help transition my project over to the next developer. It's been about 6 months since I quit, and I'm feeling ready to start applying. How in the world how in the world do I explain why I left my last job and not look like a red flag? Do I just say that quarantine fatigue was really sitting in and I wanted to take some time for myself and also learn new technologies? My last company was a WordPress agency. Uh, I intend to begin applying with stronger understanding of JavaScript under my belt, plus 2 months of experience with React. There are both new these are both new things I picked up since quitting. I'm just worried that the way I left my last company, even though I was there for 2 years, it could hold me back from new jobs. So I guess my question is, how does someone who quit their job in a bad way go to the next company without seeming like a bad hire? Well, I think that the first thing we need to address here is what do you mean by you being a bad hire? Because if you left your job not because you were incompetent, not because really, well, honestly, I struggle a little bit to see that there is anything bad about the way that you left your last job. Because the thing is, you left your last job due to the fact that you were burning out at the time, and you left because the work situation that you found yourself in wasn't the greatest. And this is one of the most common reasons why developers leave a company. I mean, some of the most common ones is going to be salary, wanting to work with new technology or try something different, or being unhappy at the place that they are doing work at that exact moment, right? Um, and you're kind of touching on at least two of these here, because in the time, basically, at least what I'm taking away from what you're saying is that you wanted to see a change. You wanted to make a change for yourself, a positive change. And working in a WordPress agency wasn't cutting it for you. And so what you then went ahead and did was that you started educating yourself. You spent time learning React, and you got deeper into JavaScript and so forth. These are indicators that you were actually unhappy with the way that things were going at your last job. And these are very normal things. These are very normal reasons, I would say, for anybody. And I wouldn't say that that is a red flag at all. I mean, sure, we could make an argument for the fact that you've been unemployed, or you've not been left 6 months ago, which is a significant amount of time. But that's not the end of the world. You have educated yourself in that time, and you have you've basically worked on yourself. You've done self-improvement, which are things that you didn't get at your last job. So if you explain to your future employer that the reason why you left your last job was that you felt it was time for a change, and that you weren't doing the sort of personal development that you wanted to see within that company, and there was no the company couldn't really accommodate your growing desire to improve yourself. This is a very, very, very normal thing. It is actually, I would say, probably one of the main reasons why very small companies sometimes lose and vice versa, of course, lose their employees to larger firms, where the very small companies who do some very niche type of work might not be able to accommodate you using the latest and the trendiest tech, or allowing you to develop your skills further. And so as a developer who wants to do that, well, you can't force your company to be a different company. It really comes down to talking to that company, and kind of hoping that they can accommodate it. And if that's not, they can't, well, then you have to move on. And that is what you've been doing. Like, that is literally the thing that you've done, and that's not a red flag. There's nothing weird about that at all. I've done, I mean, I myself have done this. Many developers that I know have done exactly the same thing. So it's not a weird thing. And the reverse is, of course, true as well. Really, really large corporations who have a specific way of working, and that doesn't feel fulfilling to some of their developers. They lose their developers as well to other companies, and not necessarily smaller ones, but to startups and other companies where they might get to work in a different fashion. So this thing about moving from one place to another because you weren't happy at that job, it's a very normal thing. It's not a red flag at all. A red flag would have, as I said, would have been if you got fired for incompetency, or if you have fairly subpar skills, or like something like that, something that indicates that you are a bad employee, or that you are a person who's not going to return the investment that the company is going to make into you. So what I want you to take away from this is that I don't think that you don't have to stress all that much about this, because I mean, taking some personal time for yourself and educating yourself for a few months, there's nothing really weird about that. Sure, it might come up in conversation, but as you've already said to me here, what you did was that you took some time for yourself to educate yourself in React and JavaScript and so forth, and doing this sort of personal development because you couldn't get that at your last job. It's not something that I would consider to be a red flag. It is something that is more a testament to the fact that you genuinely want to be a better developer. And I don't think that you should be concerned with that a future employer will look at that as something bad necessarily. I think that you should just be transparent with your employer about your in the interview, and say that the reason why you left your last job was because you wanted to make a personal change where you could develop your skills even further, and the company you were working at didn't really have it couldn't accommodate that need for you. So you started looking for somewhere where you could get to develop your skills even further. Have a great day.